Hey everyone, before we start this video, I just wanted to mention that only 20% of you are subscribed. We'd love to hit 250,000 before the end of the year, so if you enjoyed the regular content, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. For today's video, we're going to be discussing a theory that I can't take credit for creating. It's a theory that has been floating around the internet for years. A theory that directly affects Harry Potter's character and threatens the very existence of the entire wizarding world. I am of course talking about the theory that Hogwarts, witches, wizards, magic, wands, and broomsticks are purely a figment of Harry's imagination. This theory is based around the idea that Harry, an abused and downtrodden young boy, had to imagine and create his own reality, a world that he could escape to when his own world became too much to handle. If we go by this theory, the only real aspects of the Harry Potter universe are A. that Harry lives with the Dursleys, and B. that Harry's parents are in fact dead. However, if the magical world never actually existed, then it would of course mean that Harry's parents weren't killed by the powerful Lord Voldemort. They really did just die in a car crash, as the Dursleys always told him. One thing is for certain, in both realities, the Dursleys are awful to Harry, and according to the theory, it's their abusive nature that pushes him to the point of creating his own imaginary world. In the Harry Potter books and films, Harry is only left with the Dursleys because by staying with them, it meant that he was safe from Voldemort, the result of Lily's loving sacrifice. The only logical explanation for Harry staying with them in this other circumstance is that Harry simply didn't have other family. He had nowhere else to go. Orphaned by a horrible car crash that claimed the lives of both of his parents, Harry was forced to go and live with Aunt Petunia and Uncle Vernon. Oh, and we can't forget the awful Dudley. The Dursleys were truly awful to Harry, and I have no doubt in my mind that their abuse could push a young man who had already lost his parents to the point of, well, insanity, to the point of creating his own reality. The following passage from the book confirms that A. Harry had no other family, and B. he dreamed and dreamed of his life changing for the better. When he had been younger, Harry had dreamed and dreamed of some unknown relation coming to take him away, but it had never happened. The Dursleys were his only family. Over the course of the books, films, the Dursleys, particularly Vernon Dursley, did a lot of horrible things to Harry, including, but not limited to, putting bars on Harry's window in the Chamber of Secrets, shutting Harry's owl, Hedwig, in a locked cage in order to prevent Harry from having any source of happiness while at Privet Drive, keeping Harry from reading his mail, and forcing Harry to live in a cupboard under the stairs. While all of these are awful, with some more cruel than the others, it's important to remember that if the magical world never existed, then Hedwig, his Hogwarts letters, and the necessity to place bars on Harry's windows would have never existed. The only thing that would remain is perhaps the cruelest aspect of his existence at number 4 Privet Drive, and that is his tiny bedroom under the stairs. A world without magic would also mean that the Dursleys never hated Harry Potter for his associations with magic. It would just mean that they were truly awful people. It would also mean that Petunia hated her sister Lily for other reasons altogether. Or maybe she never hated Lily at all. She was only bitter and awful to Harry because she was resentful of the fact that she was stuck raising another person's child. When Harry turned 11 years old, his entire world changed, and his adventures at Hogwarts began. A wonderful period of his life that finally provided him with the long-awaited escape from the reality that he so hated. However, a grim thought is that if Harry never left that cupboard under the stairs, if he never left number 4 Privet Drive, it may have just meant that his 11th birthday was the beginning of the deterioration of Harry's mental health. It was a point at which he had suffered so much that he could endure his own reality no more. The same way that an obscurus is manifested inside of a child after years of abuse, Harry's harsh reality manifested itself in the form of a mental escape, a place that he could go to just cope. If the theory doesn't sound plausible to you at all, then I think that this line from the books, movies, may influence the way that you think about it. In the Deathly Hallows, a confused Harry asks a ghost Dumbledore if everything that's happening is simply inside of his head, to which Dumbledore replies, "Of course it is happening inside your head, Harry. But why on earth should that mean that it is not real?" This is another powerful and well-delivered quote from wise old Dumbledore, and whether this quote has underlying meaning or not is up to reader interpretation. I am of the impression that this line certainly helps the argument that the magical world, the land of magic, was always a figment of Harry's imagination. Our conception of what appears to be reality is merely the product of our own imperfect senses, forming an idea around cognitive biases and filling in gaps where it can. What Dumbledore was getting at here is that reality is simply a mental construct formed in an abstract manner, and that there is no black and white, no right and wrong. The pursuit of determining what reality actually is stems from insecurities surrounding our own morality. But does satisfying our own insecurities make it any more real? One of the most interesting aspects of this theory is that it is quite difficult to refute entirely. It depicts a world very much unlike the magical world that we have become accustomed to, and it's not something that I like to imagine, but I can't argue it is plausible. I hate to imagine that Hagrid, Dumbledore, the Weasleys, Diagon Alley, and Harry's kindred friendships with Hermione and Ron are, well, imaginary. I kind of like and hate this theory at the same time. It's mind-bending and forces you to look at an already established narrative in a completely different way. But I also don't like that it serves as an affront to the magical world that I've loved for so many years. There's also an even more twisted version of this same theory, a theory in which the chosen one, Harry Potter, has completely and utterly lost his mind. The general theme of the theory is that, for the entire time that Harry was under the impression that he was attending Hogwarts, he was actually at a mental hospital. Not only that, but he isn't Harry Potter anymore. He's Harry Dursley, and he always was. The son of his mean Uncle Vernon and Aunt Petunia. Everything that occurs over the course of the books and films were really just a highly over-exaggerated, hallucinated version of his life inside of this mental hospital, a fabrication of the mentally ill Harry Dursley. When his 11th birthday came, and his abusive parents Vernon and Petunia, I shudder thinking about that, completely forgot, it caused a mental breakdown in Harry. On this day, Harry snaps, injuring his imaginary brother Dudley, at which point a wizard breaks into their home and takes him away to a wizarding school, which of course was, in reality, just a mental institute. This theory, though disturbing and not something that I want to accept for myself, makes the story of the Harry Potter universe an almost allegory for mental illness. Under abuse, stress, and other circumstances, the brain can be pushed to do extraordinary things. What do you guys think of this theory? Personally, even though it bears some merit, I'm of the opinion that Harry really did attend Hogwarts. Let me know in the comment section below. Until next time, it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live.